There are two WVU Mountaineers that may have just made themselves a lot of money this past week with their performances at the NFL Combine. Let's go. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Jordan Cruz back here with the Country Roads Webcast. And before I get into this video, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder. If you would, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button down there. Give us a like on this video. It'll really help this video's performance, which in turn helps future videos' performances here on the channel. And if you're a West Virginia fan and you haven't already, be sure and hit that subscribe button. Helps us and it helps you, as it helps get more of this Mountaineer football content out to Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, let's get into it. All right, so as I mentioned, there were two West Virginia players that really stood out at the NFL Combine. Both of them, I think, making their draft stock rise a little bit with their performances that they put on at the NFL Combine. The first one I want to talk about, of course, is Dante Stills. We know had a very storied West Virginia career to just add to the Stills family legacy there. Gary had a great career at West Virginia. Darius, we know, was the first consensus All-American since Steve Slayton. And then Dante playing in the most games ever and breaking the school record for tackles for loss in a career. So a great West Virginia career, and is believed it would translate to an NFL draft pick, and he did nothing but improve that stock here at this performance at the Combine. As you see here, first thing we're looking at is the interior defensive lineman 40-yard dash times. As you can see, Dante Stills, we knew he was athletic, and he really impressed there, coming away with the third fastest 40-yard dash among the interior defensive linemen with the 4.85. Let's look at some more of his numbers overall that he tested out at the Combine that really has some teams intrigued by Dante Stills and probably has his stock on the rise a little bit as well. As you can see here with his other numbers, in addition to that 4.85 40-yard dash, 7.38 in the 3-cone drill, 4.61 in the 20-yard shuttle, 28.5 vertical jump, just over 6'3", 286 pounds. So great size there for Dante Stills, coming in just under 6'4". That's going to help his draft stock as well. So I thought he really did well in the Combine, as did the other Mountaineer we're going to now talk about. And I think you guys have probably heard about his performance because he really shot up draft boards with his performance in the Combine. I think it took a lot of people by surprise, maybe even some of Mountaineer Nation, with just how athletic this former Mountaineer was and how much he improved his draft stock to the point that he may even be picked before Dante Stills. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people were talking about going into the draft. I think a lot of people didn't even have him on their boards as a potential draft pick. If so, it was going to be a third day, late round pick, but now he's worked himself up to maybe even potentially being a mid-round draft pick with a very impressive Combine performance, and that is Bryce-Ford-Wheaton. Let's take a look here. All right, so there were multiple people talking about Bryce-Ford-Wheaton, comparing him to a lot of great people that you would like to see him be compared to. Here's a couple that really stood out to me. This one comparing him to Calvin Johnson as far as the testing rate that he's putting up, and this is per the man that created the RAS, which, if you don't know, that's called the relative athletic score, which is what they use in the Combine to kind of rate players' athleticism and things like that to help, detail their athletic testing. It's really all based around athleticism, and Bryce-Ford-Wheaton has certainly shown just how athletic he is. Take a look at this. As I said, already being mentioned in the same breath as Calvin Johnson. That's impressive enough to be in the same breath as Megatron, one of the most gifted receivers we've ever seen at the NFL level. And just looking how he grades out here on this RAS athletic score, his composite size grade is elite, over 6'4", over 220 pounds, with a 4.3840, giving him an elite composite speed grade as well. And then his explosion grade also elite with a 41-inch vertical, which is very impressive. So you're looking at a guy in Bryce-Ford-Wheaton over 6'4", over 220 pounds, with a 41-inch vertical. They can also run under a 4.440 at 4.38. Very impressive Combine. Blew a lot of people away, did Bryce-Ford-Wheaton. Let's take a look at another comparison that was made. This one coming from the NFL itself and their next-gen stats there on Twitter, as they reference another player and compared him favorably to. Calvin Johnson's a great comparison. So is this one. Check this out. So as I said, Calvin Johnson, a great comparison. How about also being compared to DK Metcalf, who just happens to be the wide receiver that Geno Smith is throwing passes to, which shout out to Geno signing a big contract extension as well, $100+ million over 3 years. Shout out to Geno coming back in a big way. But anyway, the comparison that next gen stats of the NFL here on Twitter compares Bryce-Ford-Wheaton to is DK Metcalf. West Virginia wide receiver Bryce-Ford-Wheaton has similar size and athleticism profile to DK Metcalf. Ford-Wheaton and Metcalf are the only players at their position to weigh at least 220, jump higher than 40 inches in the vertical, and run sub 440s at the Combine since 2003, guys. So what Bryce-Ford-Wheaton has just done has only been done twice in the past 20 years at the NFL Combine, the one being DK Metcalf before him, and now our very own Bryce-Ford-Wheaton. And there you see the comparisons. Bryce-Ford-Wheaton, look for him to be a draft pick in the NFL draft now, with a very impressive combine that really has people raving about him, and can't say enough about what he did there at the combine with that type of performance, with his size already showing how athletic he is to go along with that. So there you have it, Mountaineer Nation. Just wanted to update you guys on the couple West Virginia Mountaineers and their performance at the combine. Both of their stocks seem to be on the rise, especially that of Bryce-Ford-Wheaton's, which is basically skyrocketed previously to where it was before the NFL Combine. Just an all-time combine performance from a Mountaineer wide receiver, which we've seen over the years, right? Tavon, Stedman, Kevin White, and now add Bryce-Ford-Wheaton to that list as well. Just Mountaineers showing out at the combine. Really excited to see that. But what about you guys? What are your all thoughts on the combine performances, both by Dante Stills and Bryce-Ford-Wheaton? Where do you think they'll end up? And what do you think the future holds for these two West Virginia Mountaineers? Be sure and let us know down in the comments. We appreciate the interaction as we continue to try and grow the Country Roads webcast community throughout Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go, Mountaineers.